The sexiest thing in the entire world is being really smart.
Welcome to Smart is Sexy, the podcast where we discuss self-development, love, business, spirituality, and becoming a smarter, sexier human. I am your host, Kelsi.
And I'm Celeste. Welcome to our show, y'all. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and send to a friend. Today, we're going to be talking about being intentional and mindful of our time, what we spend our time doing, who we spend our time with, and all the things that go into being intentional. So we'll get into that.
Oh my gosh, 40's little squeaks in the background.
It's like, for what? Like, you're fine.
He's so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, good news minute. I'm super stoked because I got my passport.
It's a big deal. Congratulations.
And I feel excited because I haven't had a passport in like a few years. Not that we were going anywhere. Mine expired, but we were in a pandemic. So I was just like, what's the point of renewing it? But I have two really big trips coming up. And I got my passport in the mail and I felt so official.
Yeah,
like,
it's actually really exciting.
if the government wants to, they can come for me now.
Oh.
I mean, they could probably come for me before, but
I
I
was
just feel
gonna
like
say,
it's really official
They
now.
could have come for you before. No, that is really
So I'm
exciting.
hyped.
Okay, great. My good news minute is that we got asked to host a Smart is Sexy panel in the month of March, for Women's Month. So we're going to host two panels, Smart is Sexy IRL, at the end of the month, at the end of March. We're going to have speakers like different entrepreneurs, different executives, different women on, and it's going to be Women's Month, and we're all going to chat about like different things. But that's like our first Smart is Sexy event. So I'm really excited.
I'm really excited too. I think it's going to be fun.
What?
No, I'm just like thinking about all the things we have to do for
I
it,
thought
to
you were
be
telling
honest.
me something. I was like, what?
No, I'm like, wow, that is going to be so much fun. We have so much work to do.
We do have so
but
much work.
I'm really excited. Oh,
Okay, we have a lot going on.
We have a lot of things to say. Oh, he wants to come be with you. He loves mom.
You want to bite that? Okay, I have to get your...
Wow, we feel peaceful now.
Okay, where were we? You want to do one line over?
Okay. So,
The panel.
Yeah, the panel, honestly, I'm really excited as well. We have so much work to do. And while you were saying it, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like making a mental list in my head. I was like, whoa, there's a lot going on. So, but I am very, very excited for this. And I really feel like this could be an annual thing that we start hosting, and maybe even more often than that. So who knows? Like, it could be like a create and cultivate situation.
That honestly would be really cool, because I would love to be doing more with like the Smart is Sexy brand and just really expanding it. And I think adding like an in real life component will be a good
We're
touch.
going on tour.
We're going on tour to one place.
To one place, and it's just like probably 30 minutes away from us, but like we're still going on tour.
How fun if we actually did go on tour one time and did like
Fun.
live Smart is Sexy shows. That would be really fun.
So fun. So
Okay,
fun.
put it in the bucket.
Yeah, add it to the list.
Put it in the bucket.
Okay, you guys, moving into just like being intentional, and this is something I'm like focusing on in all areas of my life right now, is being really intentional with like everything that I'm doing, especially with my time, because I feel as though there's a lot of things in life that we can kind of like get sidetracked on, and then before you know it, you're like, I've accomplished none of the things that I've set out to do.
Totally. Distractions. Well, I think too, like, even just with this podcast, right? Like, how many times have we been told to do more clickbait content or more attention grabbing content? And you and I have always been really like intentional with the conversations we wanted to have. Like, we always would rather do quality as opposed to just like quantity. Like, we were not going to push out multiple videos all the time just for like the algorithm's sake. We would like rather have intentional conversations on here. I think that's like a good metaphor for how we kind of live our lives in general. And I think that's why you and I struggle a lot with like the attention economy, creator economy.
Creator economy it's something I really want to be a part of, but it's finding like the intentional content that I want to put out. And it's hard because I go back and forth between like doing like done over perfect and putting things out just to start doing something. But then if something doesn't sit well with me and it doesn't feel authentic, then I'll go on and delete it. It's like, so TikTok is something I'm struggling with right now as far as putting things out. So a lot of times I'll just like, the harder I work at something, if it doesn't feel genuine or authentic, I'll delete it after I do it.
Well, and that's how I feel too. And I think something that is really hard for me with, you know, the new wave of social media, which is the attention economy. So it's like, you don't even necessarily know who these creators are. But you're watching their video because it's shown to you, because it went viral, whatever, because they grabbed your attention, whatever. I think about this all the time at like a larger scale. And I'm like, okay, if these basic clips are, you know, have the hold on the collective that they do, like the get ready with me and all of these things that are just kind of like, maybe they're romanticizing normal life, but maybe they're also just not that deep all the time. I think about this so much, like what's the long-term impact, you know, like we're glorifying the basics. I'm somebody who grew up being like so intentional of like, I want to leave a legacy. I want to impact the real world. I want to do things like that. And now I feel like it seems like you can go viral or like be influential for doing nothing. That's like what I take from it.
Yeah.
Not everybody.
So right now we're seeing this like huge thing with like Hailey Bieber and Selena Gomez, right? Like everyone is making it their time to shine based off of like this whole drama.
Right.
Which, whatever, do your thing. But at the same time, I'm also like, but if this is all we're seeing over and over and over again, why are like, that's all we're intaking. We're not learning anything new.
Yeah.
And that's why when I do follow content creators, I really try to make sure like, what am I getting from your page? It's like, I'm learning something so that when I am scrolling and taking in all that content, it might be business advice. It might be something about like, there's one girl that I follow who she's an angel investor, and I love to follow her because she comes up and like brings like new tips for things. And I really appreciate that. But that's also me having to work at being intentional with my feed. Like that's even like a weird thing now that we have to do, is like, we have to curate our own feeds on our social media. So we're intentional even with the time that we're spending on social media. And
I think too, another thing with like all the new algorithms, you know, because it was TikTok and then it was YouTube and then it was Instagram Reels, whatever, is you're not even in the driver's seat anymore. Like on TikTok, yes, could you go in and search something? Sure. But for the most part, you can scroll your For You page, right? And it just brings up new videos and it almost like, it places you in the passenger seat and it almost like keeps you there. And like you stop looking for what you want to see because you know that it's going to spit something out that will catch your interest. And it does. It works.
And it's something that you don't even know that you were interested in.
And that's the scary part. That's like what's really scary to me. And the other thing that I always think about is like, you know, you see these videos online and they're like XYZ type of advice. It could be life advice, manifesting advice, business advice, whatever, how I got rich. But these are all random people. You don't actually know if any of these people have done the things that they said they do. Let's say somebody comes on your For You page and she's like, I'm going to teach you how to be a millionaire. And it has like, you know, 100,000 likes. Okay, well, you're getting confirmation that says, oh, this is 100,000 likes. It must be true. Even if it's like subconscious confirmation, this person could literally be bullshitting. This could be them manifesting, right? Like they could be like, I'm going to go manifest money by putting out content that says I already have it. Like you have no idea what you're intaking, to be honest. Like, you know, because you're just like scrolling. And so I think about that all the time. Like, I know for me, being intentional means I'm reading books because it took you way longer to write a book. You had to check your sources. You had to get it published. You know, like, so I'm like, I trust books a lot more, or I know that it means like I'm listening to the sound of my own voice or I'm doing what makes me happy, because the mindless scrolling is like, I can't do it anymore.
Well, and I think too, with TikTok, we are seeing a crazy amount of success happen overnight, right? Like you're seeing, because it honestly, TikTok is making these people pop up overnight that you didn't even know they were really existed before. And it does make me a little bit nervous for a younger generation to think, well, all I have to do is make videos on TikTok rather than go out and actually build something and contribute something to society. And I think social media used in the right way is an incredible platform. You get a message out faster to millions of people quickly. But if you don't stand for something, if you are someone who's just following the masses and following the trends, what are you doing to like move humanity forward? And it does make me a little bit nervous. And I think about that all the time. Like, am I putting out something that is adding to someone's life, or am I just jumping on the bandwagon? And I have to constantly check myself. And I don't know right now if I'm putting out content. I do think that like, we do a podcast right here. This is putting out content.
And this is intentional.
And I do feel like this is very intentional. And there are even times where I'm like, I need to be more intentional with the podcast. Like I can even up my game more, right? And I can better myself as a host and better myself as a podcaster. Yeah. But TikTok makes me worried for younger generations to just like see all these girls like the Alex Earls who are just like, they're getting ready and they're going to school and we're glorifying these girls for just going to class. Good for you that you go to class, you go to college, but like, so does the rest.
Good for you.
But
no, it is true. I think too, I think about that a lot because I'm like, why would you as a society, as a collective, even try to be innovative when you don't have to?
No.
You can just follow trend. Also, we're breeding all of these younger generations to just follow trends. We're breeding them to just follow because it's like you're rewarding them for following the pack.
Yes.
You know, you're rewarding them with likes and notifications and validation online. When you follow a trend, you know it's going to do well on social media because it's trending.
Yeah.
And so then we're just teaching everybody that you don't need to innovate. You don't need to have your own, you don't really need to do anything. All you need to do is follow what's laid out for you by whoever's pulling the strings. It's so scary to think about.
Yeah. And it's really hard to check yourself of being like, okay, I of course like want to have a presence on the internet. Like you want to have a presence. And as founders, we're constantly hearing how we need to be on TikTok. We need to have a personal brand along with like pushing Viper as a brand or whatever, Smart as Sexy. And I think that's a really hard balance of like knowing what feels authentic and genuine versus like, what am I following in the pack?
Right. That's what's so hard too, is because we're always being told that from everyone, from our advisors, our friends, everyone, like, oh, you guys should be doing more social media content and showing you as founders and your personal brand. And it is hard. One, because we've never been the trend girls. Like we've never just jumped on trend. Secondly, you know, we also like, my day to day is not like aesthetically pleasing. I'm in sweatpants. I'm at my desk. I'm at my computer. And that's it. Like all the days, you know, day in my life, it's like my days are just me sitting down on calls, on emails, you know, like working.
Yeah. And I'm also like, I don't know. I guess I feel like my life is not that exciting where I'm like, sometimes I get to do like really fun things where I'm like out, you know, I go on hikes or I'm doing like different activities and but also who cares?
No,
why does my life, it's not important.
Well, I think the other thing that's weird too is how much we glorify things that are not really that exciting. Like people are like, cleaning their house and we're watching them clean it because they made it look aesthetically pleasing. And it's like,
and I'm at fault.
No,
I for sure have watched it where
so
I'm like, wow, that's so nice to watch. But then again, I'm like, I am being a sheep and not a shepherd. And that is a
great
problem
way to put it
in my life.
Let me tell you my thoughts. I think, stay with me.
Okay.
This is a Trojan horse from the Chinese government to basically dumb us down collectively. Because now all of us are just sitting on our little phones watching people do their little dances, and we're spending our time learning these little dances and these little TikTok trends instead of learning things that actually move humanity forward or actually innovate or solve real problems. And then the Chinese government is getting all our data because, you know, in the terms, like they have like rights to everything. Like, you know, they can go through all your stuff. So they have all our data. And now they know everything about us and they're programming us. Technically, they could program us however they wanted to. They could program us to just love to see dance videos, which they did, or see girls get ready or whatever. Because like they, you know, if they're setting the algorithm, however that works. But that's my theory.
Okay.
And so we're just collectively being puppeteered. Is that the word?
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be angry if like all social media just like fell off.
Same.
Like I would
care.
not be upset. I feel like I don't really even like Instagram. I participate in it because again, I feel a lot of pressure to like show my personal life as well as my professional life. I feel pressure to be on TikTok. I do it because we're told that it's like how we have to move, and I understand, but I don't like it. And I'm not trying to be like private and not have everyone like know what's going on. It's just that like, I don't care. about like a day in a life of other people. So like, why would people care about mine?
I think the part that I don't like is that it just kind of takes you out of your own life. So for example, so we got hired to go do like a content night, a girls' night out for this boxing fight, which is a really cool experience. Like they sent us a car, they took us to a fight. It was like me and the girls, and like we like had drinks and hung out and like watched a fight. None of us had ever been to a fight before. It's very exciting. But we were there to all make content. And so all of us the whole night were on our phones the whole night, and we're filming every little thing, and we're like, hey, what'd you get? Did you get that? Did you get that? Because we know we're there to make content. Now I don't do that normally, so it doesn't really affect me, but I imagine if you do that all the time, like if you're a content creator and it's like you're filming your dinner and you're filming your day, it's like, are you living your life or is your audience living your life? You know?
Yeah, that's a great point, because I've noticed that like the times that I have maybe like attempted to make a TikTok or a reel or something, I'm on my phone so much that I'm viewing my life through the lens of my camera versus me actually experiencing that moment.
Yeah.
And that afterward, I look back and I'm like, dang, I literally don't even really know what that moment felt like, because I was too busy or worried about what it looked like capturing the moment versus me just living it.
Right. Yes. So that is what is super weird. And it's also like you're trying to follow what other people do and whatever. And then it becomes weird. And there's, you know me, I'm my spiritual self. There's a spiritual principle that basically says, well, it's also like scientific, but it says that you create your reality and your reality simultaneously creates you. Because like we live in a feedback loop. So there's like a vacuum of what you're putting out and then what, you know, is coming back to you. And so I think about this all the time. I'm like, okay, yes, we're all in charge. We're all creating our realities. But if you're intaking like a ton of social media and a ton of other people living their lives or their beliefs or how they're making money or whatever, that's also creating you. And it's even happened to me. I'm a very independent thinker. We own a business. We have a podcast. We have a lot going on in our life. And I'll watch social media and I'll see what these people are doing. And I'm like, should I be doing that?
Oh my gosh, all the time. Where I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, that I could do something like that. So people feel like they're like a part of our journey and our experience.
Well, even when people are like, I made $500,000 this month from so-and-so, which I'm like, you could be fucking bullshitting me, but I'm like, should I be doing that?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. I'm like, should I also sell my feet pics?
No, I'm like, should I? Like, I own a whole ass business, and I'm sitting here like, should I be selling on Amazon? You know, because it's just like a constant intake
of what other people
are doing, and then it like keeps coming up, so you keep getting it like validated that you should be doing it. And so that's also something to think about. You're like kind of in this echo chamber of what is trendy. It's very strange. So I don't know, I think about that all the time, and I just think that's weird. And you just don't know if these people are legit. Like somebody could literally make a video telling you about getting rich or whatever. They could be living on the side of the road. You just wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
No,
like you're
sure.
only seeing one version of it and then intaking it and accepting it as truth.
No. So last like a week and a half ago, Mans and I had the conversation that we're going to really work on being more intentional with our time. So we're doing like weekly planning. So like every Thursday night, we're going to weekly plan. We're going to like go over our last week, like, and what we were doing on a personal level to like better ourselves and like really like get to our goals. So
I like that. Thursday nights.
Night. Thursday nights were like, we went back and forth like, okay, is it Sunday night? No, because Sunday nights, like we're, you know, what if we're traveling? What if we're out of town? Like we can't be at home when we weekly plan because we get distracted. Okay. So we're going to the library, which you will love.
I love the library.
So we go to the library. But what we're doing is like, we're trying to just like, we have goals and we're really trying to meet them, but we find that like if we're on our phones too much or we're watching too much Netflix, like we need to pull off that. So we like came up with a list of things that you can do instead of scrolling, which is like podcasts we can listen to, what books we want to be reading. It's really cold right now, but like being outside more.
Right.
We talked about like maybe learning something new. We're like, hey, should we do word of the day? Like we're just like brainstorming things. It's like, are we expanding our mind and not just like taking and there is a huge difference in creating content versus intaking content, and there has to be a balance. I do think that putting out content, there is a huge benefit to it because you can reach millions of people versus like advertising and maybe having a few people drive past a billboard, right? But like content's huge, but like there is a huge difference between like scrolling and then putting something out.
That's true.
Like you have to have that balance.
That's a good point.
So we talked a lot about that. He does a lot of videography, and he's like, it's hard because like I can find myself scrolling too much. He's like, instead of just making my video, putting it up, and then getting off.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
I don't need to keep scrolling.
Right.
So like you have to find that balance. So
I think that is how I would have to be if I decided to start, you know, because I do think there's a benefit to it. I think we do live in a creator economy, and I think people, it's like, you know, you have an audience.
Yeah.
So I think I do see both sides. Like I see how it's important, but I see how we also need a balance.
For sure.
It's like overwhelming.
For sure. And something else that we had talked about that I think that all people could do just to be more intentional and well-rounded, we should be doing kind things for others without showing it on social media.
Oh yeah. 100%.
We've talked about this before, that it's like a little bit strange when people do nice things, but
It's
then
a
like
little
video
strange.
themselves doing the nice things.
It's a little strange.
And it's like, I get it. They're like trying to promote that you should go out and do something kind,
Totally.
but then it kind of seems a little bit like
Fake.
Yeah.
Seems a little, because you're on camera. So it's a little, no, I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. I think that's so true. And anytime that I do like pull off and just like live my own life and be in my own world, I just feel so much better. Like I can feel the difference.
Yeah. And I can feel really clear. Like you said, like you're a really like free thinker. Like you can think for yourself. But I feel that when you're taking in all of that content, you're
100.
like, what thought is mine and what thought is someone else's?
So that's a big thing, and that's what I noticed. I was losing the sound of my own voice because I was like, oh, all of these girls are doing this, and then I had to stop myself and be like, you are not any of these people. Like you live your own life, you have your own journey, you live in a different place. Like, you know, I'm like, I am not gonna be trying to emulate what other people have going on, and I've never been that way. Like even growing up, like in school and stuff, like I was never somebody that just like did what other people were doing or like copied what other people were doing. So I noticed like, oh, I stopped sounding like myself, because I start thinking like I just get in my own way, you know, like, oh, I'm a little confused on what I should be because it seems like everyone else is doing this. And that's the other problem with social media, is it seems like it's everyone else. And I had to also tell myself this, because if something had 100,000, 200,000 likes, or somebody had that many followers, like naturally you're going to be like, oh my God, they have so many followers, like they must be right. That does not equal being right. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. Like it just means that like you had a lot of people follow what you said.
Yes.
But just because you say something doesn't mean that it's actually accurate.
And I had to tell myself like, okay, that's also not that many people in the grand scheme of things. Like that doesn't mean anything. So yeah, I mean, doing other things, like for me, of course, is like reading a book. I also think I should learn a language. I've been thinking, I don't know why I haven't started this, but I want to learn Hindi. So I was like, okay, that's something that I could do, you know, for, I think it's like 30 minutes a day or something like that. It's like around that.
Yeah.
So things like that. And honestly, like for me too, I just think reading a book is just better than any short form content. Like it's better than a YouTube video. It's better than a TikTok. It's better than social media for me, like, cause I'm obsessed, but all of those things, you know, just being more intentional about that. And even in real life, being more intentional, like with friends and what I do with my time.
Yeah. I think there's so many ways to live an intentional life. Who are you surrounding yourself with, right?
Yeah.
Like who are the people that are in your life? Are you intentional with the people you surround yourself with? And are you intentional with who you give your energy to? So like who do you accept energy from and who do you give your energy to? Because everything is an exchange of energy.
100%.
So I think that's really important. Are you intentional with yourself? Are you intentional with your words? Are you intentional with what you put into your body as far as food and water? Are you intentional with what you're putting out with your work?
Yeah.
Like something that we talked about last night was like, we're going to work on being way more intentional with this podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to really, really like focus on like what content we are giving to our listeners and our viewers. Like, I think that's really important.
I agree. And I also think it's like, you have to get clear on what you want out of life, because what happens too is like, if you don't know, then you will have trouble making decisions, because you won't know what to say yes to and what to say no to, because you don't know what you want. And I think sometimes with like the crazy amount of like social media notifications, we get really confused on what it is we actually want.
Yeah.
You know, in our real life, like in the real world.
I also think too, I was, again, I was on Instagram scrolling. See, I am part of the problem.
Same.
I admit it.
Me too.
But I started following Gary Vee, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like the content that he puts out because he talks about being really positive, and everything that we do in our life is within our control, and
Yes.
like everything is our mindset, which I agree with and I
Same.
like. So he was talking about how we need to be more intentional with our lives,
Yeah.
and our view of success is so screwed up. Like our
Right.
definition of success in the world of like, if we only value people and their success if they're making $1 million or more.
Right.
When he was saying, he's like, if you make $450,000 a year in this
Yeah.
country, you are doing really,
well.
really well.
Yeah.
But we don't value that unless
Right.
we've hit it over $1 million.
Right.
And he was also then talking about like, yeah, you might be making $1 million, but are you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been intentional with your life along the way of making that
Yeah.
success? And I really agreed with that. And I think ever since like spending a lot more time out of LA, I've been able to get away from the group of people that I used to hang out with.
Yeah.
And not value money so much and not
Right.
put so much value on money, and I get to like have life experiences.
Yeah.
I live a much fuller life than I
Right.
ever did when I was working in nightlife,
Right.
and going to all these like cool parties and events that people supposedly
Isn't
are
that
dying
so
to go
funny?
to.
Like how we like create this illusion over like this like glamorous lifestyle, and it's like, is it really all that glamorous?
No, and I'm grateful for the experiences
Right.
that I got to have, but I'm also 10 times happier now in my life where I'm
Yeah.
like doing escape rooms and
Yeah.
like going to Topgolf and
Yeah.
hiking and being outside more and just actually experiencing my own life versus just like being in a room with a bunch of people,
Yeah, that's so true. Surrounded by alcohol and
which is
yeah,
the alcohol thing has been coming up a lot more for me lately, where I'm like, this is so terrible for you, and we are literally just killing our brain cells.
no, it's true. It's definitely like, it's probably entering its flop era, alcohol as a whole. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe it'll take a little bit more time, but I don't think that this younger generation is drinking the way that we did when we
No.
were.
Speaking of flop eras, this is a little bit of like a you know, turning down a different road. I don't even know what the saying is.
Turning down a different
I'm
road.
turning down a different road, but we can go back to the main road. I feel like the Kardashians are in their flop era.
Oh, I agree with that. And I think it's so telling. Okay, because for me, the Kardashians are like a barometer of like social, like where we're at socially. Do you know what I mean? Like where
Yeah.
we're at in pop culture, which like sets the trend. So then it tells me like where we're at as a society kind of. And I agree. I don't think they have a hold the way that they used to. Obviously their name like is
For sure.
It holds weight, of course. I'm not denying that. But they don't have a hold the way that they used to.
On the younger generation.
No, they do not. And I think it's because, first of all, they are way too flashy with like their money and like their like excess. And I don't think that people relate to it anymore, especially because you don't need that to be entertained anymore.
No, and the younger generation appreciates authenticity and relatability way more than they
Yes, they do.
than they want. I mean, we see it with
Yeah.
we see it with a girl like Alex Earl who's
Yeah.
going to class. Like they want to be, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm like her because I have
Yeah.
the same kind of life that
They
she
want
does.
relatability. Yeah.
We're seeing
Yeah.
the Kardashians are just like so out of everyone else's league right now
Yeah.
that they're like, well,
They're
I
too
can't-
far. Right. And I
Our
think
relationships aren't the same.
Yeah.
You're having kids, but like,
yeah.
I don't relate to that at all.
Their whole aesthetic was the perfect aesthetic, right? Like our bodies are perfect, our faces are perfect, our outfits are perfect. And this new season that we're in collectively is about like emotion, and it's about transparency, and it's about not being perfect. It's about not being aesthetic. You know, it's about being like very real, whether it's for a season or, you know, here to stay, I don't know, but it's just not the same. Like
No.
when you grew up, or when we all had Instagram, it was about like being so perfect looking all the time.
Oh yeah, the filters and the face
Yeah.
tune, and you're
And
even
that's, like,
seeing
out.
people pull off of a lot of that stuff,
Of
and
the
like
editing and
Yeah,
everything.
they want to know exactly like what do you really look like?
Yeah.
What do you really feel like? And we are not getting, it's just different now. It's really interesting to watch.
Well, I think they're also just too far. They're too far gone. Like they are too far past. Nobody can relate.
I mean, Kim just did a photo shoot with aliens, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you are really out of this world.
No,
you
truly,
really
you
are
know,
just like
you're
on
far
another
gone.
planet.
And like, of course, they still have like pull and reach. Of course, they still have all those things and influence and like all of that.
For sure.
But we're definitely seeing
little bit of a
a
decline
slip,
for them.
a decline.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and we'll see what happens with that. But I agree. I think it's just such a barometer for like where we're at socially.
It really is such an interesting time to watch the shift, right? Like, I feel like we obviously were around before there was like ever Instagram. And there's some kids that only know Instagram and TikTok as a way to like socialize and like be in the world. We know what it was like to not have anything like that. And I it's really interesting to like watch the transition of, and I'm uncomfortable with it, which is why I'm like struggling with like being on TikTok and creating versus consuming. Like it's really, really interesting
I know.
to be a part of the shift.
I wish we could bring back MySpace. That was the best social media. You had your top 8.
Would you maybe have put me on your top 8?
It depends. It depends on your behavior.
Oh.
Yeah. But I would have considered it.
Wow, 40, you better like shape up, or like she might just reconsider you too.
And yeah, it's true. And you could put a song and like you had like a background, and MySpace was just like,
that was like where the
really
coding,
aging myself right now.
Starting.
It's true. I was a professional. I wasn't even allowed to have a MySpace. I was so young, and I always did it behind my mom's back. And I didn't know if she knew. She probably did know. No, I feel like she would have stopped me if she knew.
100%. Moms weren't like being over here being like, I know what you're doing, but I'm gonna let you do it anyways.
Especially not my mom. Oh no, that was not happening. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on being intentional and, you know,
I really
being mindful.
Just am taking like stock of my life right now, and I'm really trying to like move into like this year, even though we're in March. I'm like really trying to move into this year and moving forward, like, what am I consuming?
Yeah.
Who am I trying to be? What am I trying to like put out into the world?
Yeah.
Am I being a good person? Like actually asking yourself, like, what are you doing to help others, to help the world?
So true.
It's really challenging.
No,
and
it's
then I
so
have to
true.
like also find time to do laundry, and it's just kind of a lot.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because like for me, like I've always wanted, I was like, I want to, of course we have Viper and I love being a founder, but at some point I do want to transition my career a little bit into like, you know, doing things that like actually impact the world. So like working with maybe the White House or the UN, or like, you know, doing something that gives back, something social justice related. And I've always been that way, but I did ask myself that the other day. I was like, you know, I'm not doing that right now. And instead I am spending a lot of my time being like, oh, should I do like this content? And it's like, I want to have an impact in the real world. So I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like figuring that out and what that looks like how I'm spending my time. And maybe that means I'm not really on socials that much. Like, I don't know. For me, I'm just like concerned more with like the real world than I am with like the social followers.
Yeah. And I think what we're seeing right now, which is really hard, is like you have to like, yes, you have to do like, I want to do something, but then you also have to like, advertise is the wrong word, but like you have to advertise that you are doing something so that people want you to be a part of their initiative or part of like what they've got going on, so they bring you in because then it advertises to like a larger audience. Like it's a really hard balance.
It's like chicken or the egg.
Yes. And I don't
you have to like fake it in order to be able to do it.
Yes.
And then you have to do it in order to be able to, I
have no idea like what the answer is, and I'm like still trying to figure it out, because I'm like, I agree with you. I want to like make a difference, get involved with like charities and like help people, but then also I want to like make a difference, so that means I need to have a presence on social media platforms. It's very hard. I don't know what the answer is. If someone does, please call me.
No, I'm with you.
I won't give you my number, but
I
like
100%
just
agree.
give me a call. I struggle with social media. It's also like just like sometimes I'm like, I go back and forth, who cares? But then everyone cares.
I'm also just really I'm trying to watch my clock too. So it's like I'm not on my phone. I got to stop being on my phone like past like 9, 10 o'clock, you know, because it's like, what am I doing? There's nothing here for me.
Yeah. The one thing I did do for myself, which people I think get annoyed with this, my phone is on do not disturb all the time.
Yeah.
Like I do that unless I know I have a call coming up or I'm waiting for a call from a client.
Right.
Because then I'm not at the mercy of like my notifications. I check my phone when I want to check my phone versus
Right.
like my phone alerting me that I have something going
No,
on.
I totally agree.
Because again, I pay my phone bill.
That's true. This is my phone.
It's my phone.
Can't ask me why I didn't respond. This is my phone.
No.
No, I totally agree. So, okay. So that's what I'm working on right now is being more intentional and figuring out, you know, how I'm going to do that in the real world.
The weekly planning has
IRL.
been helpful.
I know. I want to do that. I want to go to the library.
Well, we bought those planners, the ones that Sophia Maruso made that like, and it honestly like felt at first a little OD to me how big this thing was. It's something that has to just sit on your desk but it's not something you can carry around with you. It's not like
It's massive.
It's huge, but
it's like a meteor.
No, it is. But the one thing I can say is that she does have like you reflect on your previous week as well as plan for your next week.
Okay.
So I did it. Like I actually like started using it. Like it's been sitting for months, not touched.
Oh, it's been sitting for months on my desk.
But I'm going to like work on using it to
Yeah.
see if it does help because it's like, okay, what did you reflect on last week? What can I improve on from last week? Like, what did I do well? But what are the things that I can do better for this week?
I think that we should make a Smart Sexy planner. I think
Who
that
would buy it?
Who would
Raise
buy
your
it?
hand.
I think we should make one. I think that could be so cool. Like we could talk about things like this in the planner.
Yeah.
However that works.
No, I don't really know how it works.
I don't know how it
either,
works, but I
sounds
think
like a
we're
good
gonna make
time.
one. Okay, you guys, we're gonna make a planner.
And y'all are gonna buy it.
You tell them.
I am real bossy today. I'm just giving everyone.
No, I'm here for it. I agree with all the
Yeah.
things you said.
Okay, well, that was fun.
Oh my god, that was so fun.
Sally Farrelly, what is your sexy for this week?
My sexy is that we went to dinner with a girlfriend. Well, 2 girlfriends, but one of them was talking about how, so she got married and then they got divorced. And like, I don't know what the time frame exactly was between the marriage and divorce, but it wasn't very long, like maybe a year max, but like not very long.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, when they hear that, like if you got married and got divorced really quick, a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Or like, oh, that sucks or whatever. And like, of course, there's a level of like that sucking for sure.
Yeah, because something ends. Like,
'Cause
it was
something
a marriage,
ends.
you came together, and now it's over, and that is sad because of, and you get to mourn that.
And you get to
loss.
mourn that. Like, of
Yep.
course, there is a level of that sucking 100%. But the fact that she chose not to settle and she said to herself, there's something more out there for me, even though she had just gone through an entire wedding. I mean, that is a lot. Like you
you
do
made
the
a
bridal
commitment.
shower and you do the bachelorette and you do the wedding and you get all your friends and family to witness it. And like you pick a venue and like you've been with this person for years. And like the fact that she still said, no, there's more out there for me. And something about this doesn't work. Something about this is me settling. And she chose to leave, even though like a lot of people would be like, oh my God, like you already got divorced, and they would look down upon it. I just was like, that's my sexy. Like, I think that's really cool for anyone who decides that like there's more for them. Like there's more to their story.
Yeah. So I obviously spend quite a bit of time in Utah, and people, like young people, get married quick there. And so I was out to dinner the other night with 40. It's like, I think you're in trouble.
No.
You guys, 40's he's being disciplined. I'm a piranha. I think that's from Finding Nemo, is it?
No.
I'm a piranha.
I know you're crazy.
It's been a while since I watched it.
Potty, because you're being an absolute fucking menace.
Okay.
We're almost done.
We'll wrap up. But I was at dinner
Putting
the
40 in
other-
air jail.
Oh, air jail.
Air jail is where he's biting, and I lift him up, and this is air prison.
Yeah, you guys should go on YouTube and watch this because it's honestly really interesting.
It works though.
But I agree with you because I was at dinner the other night, and this guy one of Man's friends was talking about how his cousin is like 20 years old and got married and got divorced, and they're like, and all the guys were like, wow, that sucks, it's so bad. And I'm like, but honestly, good for both of them that they're out of that and they get to now like be with someone who they like really love
Yeah.
and they get to like be happy in their lives. Cause like, yeah, it sucks, but then you also just like
Totally.
get to live your life.
Totally. I think that there's such an alternative perspective to a relationship ending. And I think typically we always think like something was wrong or like somebody did something wrong. And it's like, no, sometimes there's just more out there for us. And like, that's okay. And I think that's actually so cool that people decide that for themselves.
I agree.
You know?
I totally agree.
So we love that. What's yours?
Mine, okay, so on like a way less deep level, my sexiest thing is when Mans dances in the kitchen with me. Like I'll be in there like doing dishes and he'll like come in and he'll just like turn on some music and he does this thing where it is the dorkiest thing, but I think it is so sexy and I'm always like, oh, I really want to marry you and have kids with you, because it's just so fun and it's just playful and there's just it's so cute. It makes me swoon.
That's so cute.
So that is for sure my sexiest thing. He also just did it at the gym this week. Like he was listening to a song and he like did his little like dance move and I was like, oh, you're it. Okay, wow. You guys, we have to wrap up because he is telling us it is time.
40
He's like,
is
Mom,
like, you guys
finished.
are done.
Okay, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Please rate, review, subscribe, tell your friend. We're on all the social platforms. After I just shit on all the social platforms, we're on all of them.
Go back to those and watch it.
All right, you guys can find us on IG as Smart as Sexy or TikTok and YouTube as at Smart as Sexy by KCH. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, y'all.